how old were you when you started this brand?
So I was 12 when we started like coming up with the idea and the products, and then 13 when it launched.
That is insane.
And then people would film me in public.
Kids will be kids.
Like what?
That
I just want to do what I love and not be judged for it, which this is for you.
It's time to get loud. Welcome back to Loud Talk with Lavi, a podcast where we break down the walls of beauty standards one flaw at a time. And today I have such a special guest, Fiona Frills. Thank you so much for joining me in today's episode.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I am so excited to chat about all sorts of things. I feel like we're going to go off on so many different directions, which is always fun. Um,
Literally.
yeah, I'm so excited. I feel like we have a lot in common, and overall, I think it's going to be a great chat for sure.
Yes, I estimate that we're gonna have to cut the podcast when we're like not even done our convo.
Literally.
But so excited to get to chat with you. Well, Fiona, obviously, like you are definitely a social media figure. You are now a brand founder for quite a few years now. Just girl bossing all the way, which I absolutely love to see. So, can you tell the audience a bit about your background, how you started? Because you started off on YouTube, right?
Yeah. So actually, I started out doing acting and modeling. So
Okay.
I started when I was 8 years old, very
Wow.
young. I barely remember it, but like I have little highlight memories and some like not so much of highlights. They're like scary memories of that. I'm like,
Yeah.
what did I do? I'm like, that was terrifying. But so I started out doing modeling and acting, and I came to the realization that acting and modeling is very it's a little shallow. It's a very shallow industry. Casting directors normally pick you off of how you look, which I mean,
Right.
it makes sense. Modeling 100% that does make sense, but
Yeah.
I think it's so shallow. They do not pick you for like necessarily like your personal talents and like your morals and like how you are with other people. And it's overall a shallow industry. So I was like, okay, I want to get away from this. So I started YouTube. Very
Yes.
similar in a way, but I could actually be myself. So I started doing YouTube when I think I was like 10, almost 11. So it's been a minute for sure. And then I now don't do YouTube as much, but now I do TikTok and I post YouTube shorts, and I also have a brand, which is my main focus. So
Mhm.
a little bit all over the place, but I like to keep it fun, keep myself never bored. Yeah, it's a lot for sure.
Okay, so you started off really young, like in the industry, like in
Yes.
front of cameras and it all.
Oh yeah.
So what kind of like made you want to go on YouTube?
Honestly, the element that you could just completely be yourself. Like there is no
Right.
one telling you what to do besides like yourself being like
Hmm.
whatever you want to be. Like I see people like, I mean, Miranda Sings is a horrible example now, but
Yeah.
she played a character. I mean, so many people did so many different things on YouTube, which
Yes.
inspired me. I was like, oh my God, I just want to do what I love and not be judged for it, which, there was still judgment, but less of it. And I felt like I had a place to go because I was also homeschooled. So I didn't have a lot of friends. So I
Okay.
was very lonely. So I would talk to the camera and be like, my camera was my best friend. Like I
Right.
started out filming on my laptop. So just like this, which is kind of crazy. Yeah.
That's so insane. And yeah, like I totally relate to that because I started YouTube when I was 13. So like super young, similar era, when like everyone was just getting on doing their thing. And um I think the word like I wasn't really affected by any of the judgment online. It was just more like kids at school, So like
Don't get me started. I didn't go to school, but like a lot of my friends did, and I'd hang out with them, and like people were ruthless. What's a story for you? Like, what was
I
something
think
that
the
really,
worst one is like because kids will be kids, So like I'm not even gonna like blame like 13-year-olds like yeah, were they like rude? Yeah, but like whatever. We all like learn. The
Mhm.
worst thing was like when I was in high school, I remember I was like 15 at the time and I hit like 2,000 subscribers, which I was like, oh my gosh, And my math teacher like started playing my video in the class when I walked in, and it was like traumatizing because I was like,
I would have walked out. I would have been like,
it
I
was
no.
yeah, or like, just people telling me like, oh, like, are you still like making those videos and stuff? Like, like just that judgment. And I'm so happy that I didn't really ever like let that stop me, because now it's like those same type of people who are like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing how you're like self-employed and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I have a similar kind of story. I was at a party and there was this huge TV connected to like the biggest speakers and the loudest speakers. They
Okay.
played one of my most embarrassing videos. My like, okay, I did like a lot of videos revolving around like helping teens and like the teen experience. And
Yes.
this one was revolving around periods. They play it on the screen in front of
Oh my
hundreds of people,
gosh.
and they hid the remote, so I couldn't turn it off. Right. So I'm like, okay, I gotta stay calm. I lock myself in a laundry room and I just start bawling. I'm just like, oh my God, I hate this. And then people would film me in public, like just like start filming me. Like people from like different high schools around my hometown would film me like doing random things. And I'm just like,
Right.
stalker energy. I'm like, can we not film me in public? Like, I don't like I'm eating. Like, dude,
Yeah.
don't do that. Like, I
No,
eat like a crazy
seriously.
person. But yeah, social media then I feel like wasn't as cool as it is now. Like now when someone says they're like a TikToker, people are like, oh my God, like that's
Yes.
incredible. But when we started, it
It
wasn't
was
really cool.
No, I literally was having a conversation with someone at my like 9 to 5 job the other day, and I was saying how like before I applied to that job that I have now, I never put social media on my resume ever, because like it was so like looked down on. And I'm like, I don't want people to know I do YouTube, like, because they'll think that it's unprofessional or whatever, right? And they'll like, because there was this whole like stigma with like posting stuff on the internet. Like you don't want to post stuff on the internet because like, especially with like jobs, right? And then funny enough, when I applied to the engineering job that I'm working now, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put all my social media experience on here, because at the end of the day, like this has been my job like for the past 9 years. And funny enough, like the person who interviewed me, the like one of the first questions they asked were like, oh my gosh, like you do YouTube? That's so cool. And I was like, huh, times have changed.
Times have changed, which makes me feel like, oh my God, like we're getting old. Like, what? Like, that sounds weird to me. Like, I'm like, what? Like, back then, like, I feel like it was so different, which back then, just that sentence
Yeah,
itself, I feel like is so trippy. But I mean, we're not old, but still,
no,
times have changed. We're not 13 anymore.
exactly. Yeah, no, and it's weird starting off on social media that young. And speaking of that, like, do you think that starting on social media that young, like, affected your confidence, or do you feel like it boosted your confidence?
You know, both in a way. I think that it affected me a lot when I don't know exactly how to describe this, honestly. Like in a social setting, I was always very, very scared to say I was a YouTuber or like I did social media. Like I would
Yes.
always avoid the question. Like I would so loop around it in any way I could. Like I would even lie. Like I would fully
Mm-hmm.
make up a lie and be like, "No, I do this and I work here." Like I would fully not say it because I got like made fun of so much or looked at very differently, and that
Yes.
made me very like, "Oh my God, like my job is like so like looked down upon. It's so weird." Like it made me think a lot about it, but at the same time, I would not be where I am today without it, and it has made me more confident. Like I feel confident in myself when it comes to like being online and doing interviews and talking to people now.
Yes.
I feel like it's definitely opened up a room for me. So there's like multiple different elements to it, but I would say both. Like it's been a mix for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And I totally agree with that, because one, like, I think now people are starting to see social media as like a legit job, but like there are still people who like don't see it that way.
Mhm.
But I remember like even just talking to like friends, family, whoever, even just a couple years ago, like they'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna work." And they're like, "What do you mean you're working?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I have to film videos." And they're like, "Oh, like you're just filming videos." And it's like, it's still my job, like I'm
Yeah.
gonna take it seriously no matter, like even when I was making like $100 off YouTube a month, like I'm still gonna take it as seriously as I do now, like that's why I think I got to this point is because I always took it seriously.
Yeah, that, oh my God. It's to this day, it makes me actually want to explode.
Yes.
Like, oh, are you working today on a selfie? Like, I get that still all the time. And I'm
Yes.
just like, I'm like, yeah, uh-huh,
Yes. And
totally.
the thing
I'm just
is,
doing that. Like, I'm just taking a selfie. Like, what?
that's all. Yes.
It's so degrading. I'm like, what in the, oh, that really pisses me off still to this day. And I
I
need to
cannot
work
agree
on it
more. Yeah.
personally. Like, I
Just
can't
like
let
compose
that
it.
affect me. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Because like, and for myself, like I still work like a traditional 9 to 5 job, like in an office setting. So like, I think I can really see both sides of the story when people are like, oh, I hate when social media people are complaining, blah, blah. And like, I think this, like working in social media, it's a very like blessed job to have. Like, it's like, I'm so grateful that I can do this every day because, I do work on my own schedule and I'm able to like do what I love and, create and I feel inspired every day and work with my favorite brands. But like, it doesn't mean that it's not hard. And I think if anything, it's not like the work itself is necessarily hard compared to like, let's say my engineering job, but the like mental part of it is harder because you can't just put it down and close your laptop and be like, hey, it's 5, like I'm clocking out for the day. Like you're constantly thinking about it. And you're also like, there's no job, like, if you're employed somewhere, you're not thinking, obviously things can happen, like you can get fired, like layoffs happen, but you're not really thinking every night, like, am I going to lose my job tomorrow? Whereas like in social media, I feel like you're constantly worrying, like, is tomorrow gonna be the day like I've lost like all my hype?
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I also feel like when it comes to doing social media and putting yourself online, you the fun things about your life become your job. If that
Yes.
makes sense. Like you start filming, like going to the grocery store, going shopping, filming hauls, hanging out with your friends, that nothing is you for
Doing
you.
your makeup,
Literally
yeah.
everything.
Doing
Literally.
your
And
skincare.
you share, I mean, it depends on the creator, but you
Right.
share a lot. Like you share so much about, like, people share their boyfriends, like everything. And like that is like putting your whole life as your job. I agree though. It's hard work to a degree, but it's also not.
Yeah.
It's not like an engineering job. I 100% say those are very different, but mentally it is so draining. Like doing social media for so long, like I sometimes don't want to pick up a camera and film. Like that is the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's like, oh my God, it's such hard work. It is the element of like, wow,
Right.
like everything in a way that you enjoy becomes work, which
Oh, absolutely. Because
yeah.
like let's say the average person like gets up in the morning and does their makeup, and they just do their makeup. Whereas like when I get up in the morning to do my makeup, I'm like, should I be filming this?
Yes.
You know?
Getting a new like thing at the like at like a grocery store and like trying it. Like, oh, should I film like trying this? Like everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the pressure too, because it's so like it fluctuates so much, like you could be like so high one week and the next week like no one's watching your content. And you're like, okay, like what happened? How am I gonna get back? It's
Yeah.
stressful. It's
It
definitely
is.
stressful. So what are your thoughts kind of, because obviously there's been so much of a shift on social media, especially away from YouTube. And how has that affected like you doing YouTube and kind of, finding like new things for your career as well?
I definitely think that I think YouTube, God, there's such a love hate with me and YouTube. Like, I love YouTube, but also, like, now I feel like my demographic is more on TikTok. I'm
Yes.
on TikTok. I honestly don't watch YouTube anymore. Like, I'll watch like one video every once in a while, but I do not choose to open the YouTube app. I think
Okay.
that's also because like I myself have uploaded on it. Like, it's kind of like, oh my God, it's YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
it's more of like a work app to me. But I personally post a lot more on TikTok. I'm still not very consistent on social media, which I need to work on more. It's just sometimes I just don't have enough time or the energy that it takes to film, because I feel like you have to have sometimes a lot of energy to be creative and like make a video funny or do like it's energy that like
Yeah.
gets like wiped out of you. But right now I've been definitely focused a lot on my brand. We've expanded a lot and it's just so much work constantly. It's very consuming. We're currently in select CVS and Walmart stores, and we're possibly launching in another retailer soon. So it's been a lot of work, but that's kind of my focus right now. I love business and I love working with teens because my whole brand
Yes.
is it's revolving around teens, because I think teens are looked over the most out of most age groups.
Mhm.
So teens hold a very special place in my heart. So teens are on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I mean, I'm a teen still. I'm still 19, but
Right.
yeah.
I mean, I say like I can't believe how young you are. Like I'm 21, I'm not much older than you, but like it is really crazy to see like how much you've done, at 19. You're so well spoken. And I think that does come because like that's something I've gone a lot to, and I think it does come from like being in front of a camera from a young age because you had to kind of learn how to like speak to an audience. And I'm not saying public speaking and talking to a camera is the same thing, but I do think they share a lot of elements. And I definitely see the difference in like speech when I'm talking to someone who has a YouTube background versus like a TikTok or Instagram background. Because like with
Uh-huh.
TikTok, it's like quick, like you say a few words, then you just like do your thing. Whereas like YouTube, like you're sitting down for like 20-30 minutes, maybe even an hour or two that gets edited down, and you're like free like speaking on something. So no, I think that's amazing. And I want to get all into your brand because I think what you're doing is so cool. So walk me through like, how you kind of got the idea to start a brand. Did you always kind of growing up know that you wanted to kind of take a more entrepreneurial route?
No, I didn't. I honestly didn't know I wanted to do acting or modeling or YouTube. Like I just kind of like fell into it. Like
Okay.
all of it was like kind of natural and organic, which
Right.
is bizarre to me because most people like set out and they're like, I need to be this. But I never really had that feeling. Now I have that feeling a lot more when it
Okay.
comes to like the brand. I think it's kind of like it's a huge part of me now. I'm like, it's like my child. I love it to death.
Right.
I poured so much into it. But I started out as you know, like on YouTube, and I was filming a lot of beauty and skincare videos, and my skin took a hit. It was just breaking out. I had rashes on my face. I was having so many different skin problems, and I was like, what is going on? I turned to like my friends and family, and I was like, guys, like what's going on? Like what do I do? And they were like, oh, it's just hormones. Like
It'll
it'll
go away when you're older. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's something else going on here. So I started looking at the ingredients and all the products that I was using, and I was like, what in the bleep? I was gonna swear. I don't know if I
You
can
can
swear.
swear on you're good.
What in the fuck? Basically, I
Yeah.
was like, no way. Like, no, no way. So I was like, I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, I really want to take the money I've made off of like YouTube acting and
Hmm.
YouTube and invest it and create a beauty and skincare brand and target it for teens. Like, make sure that like the ingredients are made for teens because there's so many brands out there like Drunk Elephant that damage teen skin. Like, there's retinol in there that a 13, 12-year-old should not be using. So I started the brand and everything's non-comedogenic, hypoallergenic, cruelty-free, and very natural. Like it is not like a full glam type of makeup. It's a
No.
very natural, your skin like enhanced and
Yeah,
just
your
bringing
skin but
out
better. Yeah.
yeah, like exactly. So it's been a work in progress. I mean, God, we started it in 2016, launched December of 2017, and now it's 2023. Like, how where did the time go? I truly don't know. But wait, it's
So
2023, right? Sometimes like
yeah.
yeah.
So you were how old were you when you started this brand?
So I was 12 when we started like coming up with the idea and the products, and then 13 when it launched. Okay, I did have a lot of help with my mom. Like I had like the creative and the makeup side of it, but my mom helped with like the website and like the back end stuff because I don't think any 13-year-old, maybe a few. I feel like there's a few 13-year-olds who could totally build a website, but that was not for me. I didn't know how to do that. But
Wow.
yeah.
So does your mom like have experience in like the
Yeah.
entrepreneur side? Okay.
For sure. She worked at a lot of different tech startups, so she's a big tech girl. She's very different than me in most ways. Like she doesn't really like makeup that much. Like she wears it, but like barely. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
she's very tech oriented. So
Okay.
she's very smart when it comes to the back end of stuff. Like oh my God, you can ask her any question. I swear she knows the answer to. She's like a dictionary and like a tech manual and everything. I'm like, where did you get all of this knowledge? I'm like, hello, like share, please.
Right.
But yeah, she's incredible. I couldn't do it with her.
Wow. So you became a brand founder at 13, 12, 13. That is insane.
It doesn't even register in my mind sometimes. I'm like, really? I'm like, that's crazy. I feel like I'm 26, like, or 30, like most days. I like wake up and I
Yeah.
totally think I'm older, but I'm like, wait a minute.
No, and that's, not saying you look like 26 or 30 at all, but that's the vibe I'm getting from you. You speak very like mature, and that is, wow, that is so amazing. I didn't realize you started that young. I definitely thought you started it, a bit older, but that is really cool. So
Thank you.
what what was that process like with like launching the brand? Did you have like any fear in that, or did your subscribers like have your back with when you launched?
So there's been a lot of different periods when it comes to, well, I guess any brand owner would say this, like there's so much that happens all the time. Like there's
Yeah.
always an issue, there's always a bump in the road, but there's also like very great high points. So my subscribers when I initially launched were so supportive, so sweet, which was incredible. Now the brand has grown a lot outside of my own followers, and it's like different people's followers. I work a lot with creators, and yeah, I mean, one part that was very scary is, I believe, God, I forget which year it was. I think it was like a year after launching, investors reached out and were like, "Hey, like we'd like to like work with you." And they were hands-on investors, which is very rare, not a good thing. Basically, after like 6 months of working with them, Florence came out, which is Millie Bobby Brown's makeup line, and Frilliance and Florence sound real similar, if you
Right.
ask me. So basically the investors were like, hey, you should shut down your business, you're never going to compare to Millie Bobby Brown. And I was like, I'm sorry, L'Oreal, Maybelline, NYX, all these brands all are very similar, and well, some of them are owned by the same
Well,
company,
yeah. And
which is
even then, right, like they're owned by the same company, and yet still they have like their own customer bases and doing just fine.
yeah, exactly. So I'm just like, logically, I'm like, what in the world is this? So the partnership was completely canceled, which I'm so grateful for, so grateful for now. But in those moments, I broke down on the call. Like I was bawling, like fully bawling. I like had no other reaction, which I don't like to cry on business calls. Like that was embarrassing, but also like, how dare you say that like to someone who's so young and like whatever. It was very
Yeah.
unprofessional, I think, in like the way they worded things, but now we are doing a lot better. So that was a very scary moment, but also like working with retailers is really hard. The cash flow that it takes to maintain everything is ridiculous. And yeah, there's a lot of elements to a brand that you would never think of. Like I still find new things basically every day that I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about this.
Right.
Oh my God, this. So it's definitely a rocky road, but it's fun.
Right.
It's a fun little roller coaster.
I gotta ask you, what was kind of the inspiration behind the name Frilliance?
So Fiona Frills. Frills is actually not my last name. I don't know if I've really said that ever on a podcast, but Frills isn't my last name.
Okay.
I use it because my last name is like, if you like look it up, my like family owns like a few properties, and my mom was like, no, like let's keep everything private. So I was like, okay, like totally. So I got to like make my own last name. So I came up with Frills when I was like really young, and it's just stuck with me. Everyone thinks my last name is Frills. So
Yeah.
I'm
I
like, it's
thought your last name was Frills.
right. Everyone does. Like my friends, like that have known me for a while, sometimes they'll forget that my last name is not Frills. They'll be like, "What?" So basically, I was trying to come up with like a powerful word, and I was like saying like brilliance, like brilliant. I love that word. So I switched it to like frilliance.
Mhm.
So I just put like frills. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was young. It was a young decision, but I like the name still. I think it's fitting for the brand.
No, it definitely is very fitting for the brand. It's good that you still enjoy that name. I'm still sorry, like I'm still like a little I wasn't expecting that Frills was not your last name, so I'm like, whoa. So you just
You're
like
like,
made up. Yeah, I'm like still like, let me
you're
catch
like,
up.
you've been lying all
Yeah.
this.
So like you just did that just like come to you like when you thought like, oh, I need like a new last name? You just like thought of that?
So it was actually a rhyme. It was Fiona Frills and Thrills. Yeah, no, like I did like a rhyme with it, and it was in the beginning of my videos. It was like this little like effect that came on. It was awful. It came on the screen. It was like, ugh, it was terrible. But it was first that, and then I was like, screw the thrills. Like I just want Fiona Frills. So
Got
yeah,
it.
it started so young, and it's honestly nice because there's like a little bit that like I have to myself, but it's yeah. I'll tell you my real last name after if you want to know it. But yeah.
No, all good. I was just like, okay, so I did also want to ask you, so you don't really post like on YouTube like long form anymore the way you used to. So what made you like decide to kind of stop posting like a couple years ago?
Honestly, so for like a year, God, I'm so bad with time. Like years, like don't like I'm trying to think of the exact year it was, but there was a year that I basically forced myself to post. Like I was like forcing it. Like there was not really much joy left in what I was doing. Like I wanted to switch my content, but I was also like, no, like I've already built all of these like followers that like this sort
Mm-hmm.
of content. Like I didn't want to change it. And I was like, you know what? I also had like a traumatic thing happen to me. So I don't know if I'm gonna start crying if I talk about it. So, or maybe I won't, I don't know. But I had a very toxic person in my life that really made me swirl downward very quickly. Swirl downward. What in the world kind of wording is that?
I
But
get what you mean. Yeah. Spiral downward? I don't know.
spiral,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely spiral for a few months. And I woke up from my spiral and I was like, okay, I need to focus on something. And I focused on the brand, and then a lot of things started happening there. So it it was a mixture of things, but I still love YouTube. Like I love my followers more than anything. Like they have done so much for me, and I hope I've helped them in some ways. But long form content is very draining. I think like it's hard to come up with ideas every week and be excited, and also make sure your followers like the content. So for me, long form content is very difficult, and I do think that the attention span of people is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, including myself. So I think that short form content is good for me right now, and it's easier to do. But one day I do want to post like a very long video and just like fill everyone in on what's going on, because in a way, I do miss it, because it was a part of my life for so long. But
Absolutely. No, and I would love to see you post like a long form video like that. I find that interesting because like I definitely took not as long of a pause off YouTube, like about 2 months when I moved last year. And I just was so like done with YouTube because I was like, oh, like not that TikTok's like easier, but I'm like, okay, like I'm putting so much time into these YouTube videos for them to get like basically no views compared to my TikToks, you know? So that's why I was like, what is the point of doing this? Right. So I wasn't really inspired on YouTube anymore. And then in this past year, like I've really been consistent with YouTube because I've kind of found this new like love for it. I think because of YouTube Shorts, it kind of gave more exposure to my channel where I was like, okay, like maybe I'll start posting more long form again. And
the
I,
combo I've heard is really, really good, by the way. Like I've
yes,
a few other YouTubers, like I've been hearing them and like different panels. Long form and short form together is like a match made in heaven. So
yes.
yeah, you have the exact right idea.
Yeah, and like I just feel like a lot more calm when I film my YouTube videos now because I just like sit down and like I don't edit my videos anymore, which I think that took a lot of pressure off me because like it's a lot to sit down and edit them. Like my brother's been doing that for me for 2 years now, so now I literally for YouTube I just sit down, film it, and then it's like done, and then it just gets posted like a couple weeks later, so I like don't have to worry about it. Whereas now I find like TikTok a little more draining because it's like every video you have to be posting like daily, and you have to edit each one, make it blah blah, and like have a hook, and if all these things, right? So
Yeah.
I've kind of found like a new love for YouTube where it's like I don't do as many like brand deals, like not nearly as many brand deals on YouTube as I do compared to like TikTok. So I feel like YouTube's like back to being like just like my like hobby.
Comfort.
Yeah, where it's like my fun place to be rather than like it's less like work in a way. So I really have been enjoying it a lot more. Which I'm happy I found that love for it again, because like that's where I started, and I feel like I'll always be like a YouTuber at heart.
Yeah, me too. I will always say I'm a YouTuber, not a TikToker. Like
Yeah.
100% YouTube. I think that there's so much creativity on YouTube too, and so much hard work on YouTube. Like I remember, I don't know if you will agree with me on this one. You might. I remember when TikTok first came out and people were just gaining like millions of followers like that,
In a second.
and I was like, oh my God, it took me so long to hit it. Like I hit a million like not long ago. I think like a month ago. I'm terrible with time, as I keep saying. But I'm like, they just hit a million in like literally 3 weeks. I'm like, wow. Like
Yeah.
I was jealous. Like I fully was like, fuck you, TikTok. Like that's so messed up.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
like,
when
yeah,
TikTok came out, like, cause I never really had with YouTube, like I've been so consistent and I'd always get so much. The videos I love to film on YouTube are like the like traditional like beauty videos of just like makeup tutorials, just like my favorite products of the month, like just like the very traditional beauty videos that first started coming on like 2012,
yeah,
2013. And I came on YouTube in like 2014, and as like times evolve, like no one really cares about those videos anymore. So when TikTok came out, I think I had like 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, and then I gained like 30,000 followers on TikTok in like 2 months. And I was like, are you like, I was like mad at like myself in a way, because I was like, are you kidding me? Like
yeah.
I've been working on this damn app on YouTube for years, and like I can't even like gain subscribers, and now like my videos are becoming so popular on TikTok, and I was like, what the heck?
No, right? Like it kind of pissed me off for a little bit. I was like, really? I was like, wow. But okay, the one thing I will say is I think that YouTubers are a lot more like, okay, I'm gonna watch my wording here.
Yeah.
Okay. It took them so long to get to where they're at that we're very humble and kind, and like we appreciate like all sorts of different content because we understand how much work it took to get there. Where
Yeah.
someone who just spikes up really quickly, that is sometimes brutal on someone's ego. Like it can like make it go crazy, and then
Yeah.
like other issues can unravel through that.
I
So
totally agree. And
I'm
there's so
grateful
much
for it.
money on TikTok, like in terms of brand deals, that I feel like people gain some views and then they like almost expect to be being paid for it. Where
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm sure you understand like YouTube, like even now, my AdSense check from YouTube will never compare to brand deals on TikTok,
No,
like
no.
never. And
Mm,
like YouTube takes, I would say, more time, but like I still do it because I love the app and everything. But yeah, you're totally right in that it's just so different, and coming from the different backgrounds, I feel you can almost tell who came off YouTube. Like Monet, like she's gained like a
yeah.
lot of traction on TikTok, but she started out on YouTube. And I feel you can see that in the videos, like how she edits
Well,
them, how she speaks. Like you can totally tell who like has a YouTube background. I find that really interesting. But what I will say about the follower or like subscriber, whatever count, I do feel like YouTube subscribers like
are so valuable.
are more valuable, because
Yeah.
TikTok, like I follow so many people on TikTok and I could not name like more than five of them. Like full name. Like I have
Like,
no idea what their name is. I know what they look like and I know the type of videos they post, but then I'm like, someone would be like, "Oh, do you know this person?" I'm like, "No," and they show me a video. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I follow them." Whereas YouTube, like when you're subscribing to someone, like you're like signing a marriage contract.
no, it's so much like, yeah, you like they
You
love
commit.
your videos.
Yes.
They really connected with
Yeah.
you.
They'll be there
Whereas
every
with
week
TikTok,
watching. Yeah.
yeah, they're so loyal and just there for you. They can be like, they know you so well, they can like pick you apart though, which is like a downside. But with TikTok, you're so right. It's like I don't really have a connection with, like, I think Monet, oh my god, her TikToks are so good. I love her TikToks. Like they are probably one of my favorite like types
Type.
of
Yes,
TikToks. Like
absolutely.
very YouTube-y, but like TikTok-y and entertaining. And
Yeah.
her herself is just she's so
Yeah.
wonderful.
You can just tell she's like a good hearted person. Like you can just
Yeah.
tell her videos
Yes.
just radiate good energy.
100%, 100%. Yeah, and there's so many like TikTokers that like I don't even know their name, but I know their face.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's interesting. You're
And
right.
I sometimes get comments from people that are like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you on my For You page in so long." You know? and they like follow me. So it's super interesting because it's like on YouTube, like, people will just go watch your video because it'll be like in the subscribe, like,
Mhm.
you know, what is it?
Box.
The recently posted by
Yeah.
your subscribe. I don't know whatever. So it'll be on your homepage. That's what I'm trying to say. It'll be on your
Yeah.
homepage that like whoever you're subscribed to posted a new video. Whereas on TikTok, like unless you have notifications on, which like people don't really turn on like TikTok notifications because that would be like so
Alarming.
annoying.
Yeah.
Um, if they don't come up on your For You page, like you're not gonna see them, even if you are following them, right? And then if you go to search their name, half the time you're like, what's their name?
Yeah. No.
Unless their name's like a slogan or something that's like easy to remember. But like my name, like on social media, maybe this was like my fault in doing this, but like my name and everything is Lavinia Rusanda, and oftentimes like people, let alone can't even pronounce it, let alone like remember it to like type it in
Yeah.
and search it up.
Yeah, no, it's always interesting. Like Brianna Chicken Fry, like she's one that always sticks in my head. Like I don't know what it is with her name, but it like stuck in my
Yeah.
head. Which have you seen that she's like dating Zach Bryan or Zach Bryan?
No, I didn't see that.
I have no idea. I was because it's like a whole thing. I saw it and I was like, what is going on? Like, I don't know. There's always so much TikTok drama,
Oh
which
my gosh. Yeah, my
I'm
feed right now is all Ariana Grande.
oh, what happened with her?
Well, she got divorced.
She got divorced? She
Yes,
was
but
married?
she was married for 2 years.
I did not know this.
Yeah, she was married and now she's like dating because she's now filming Wicked. Um, like she's been filming Wicked, like the musical, for like, I don't know, the
Huh.
past year or so. And apparently she's like dating one of her co-stars now, like on Wicked, but he was like married and like had a kid, and then he like left his family for it, like this whole
Oh,
thing. And his like, well, I guess now ex-wife like posted a statement saying like, I don't know, like it's this whole thing. So like that's all I'm seeing on TikTok, and I'm like,
oof.
oh
I
boy.
hate when it's all drama. Like when I'm scrolling and I'm just like,
Yeah, I'm
okay,
like, I just
like
want to
where's the
see
video?
like, yeah,
Normal video.
yeah, I just want to see like, what the new like trendy makeup products is,
Mhm.
whatever.
Same, same. Yeah, no, I'm like, oh my God, okay, I don't need any drama. Like I'm good. Like keep
Yeah,
scrolling. Yeah. Or like Taylor Swift when all like when her
Eras tour, just everything. Yeah,
everything. It like
yeah,
blew. Same with Barbie. Barbie's kind of all over mine. Have you seen Barbie?
I did see it.
Good.
Yes,
Is it good?
you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it
Okay, I
yet.
won't say too much. I'll just say I did have to film like a full solo podcast episode after I watched it because I had a lot of thoughts. I was like, I need to sit down to like film this because my head was like just
Oh my
going crazy with
God.
thoughts.
Okay, I need to.
Yeah,
Okay, I need to see it. Was it like like should I go see it?
I think you should go see it. Like, I think especially like as a girl, like, especially like a young girl, like there's so much to it. And I think it relates so much to beauty standards and how we're seeing the world and like self-esteem and finding your purpose, which I think is such a like hard topic for a lot of people, feeling like they don't have a purpose in life. So definitely a good movie. I know my brother watched it and I was like, how was it? He's like, eh. I'm like, yeah, you didn't get it. You didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't think it's for guys, which I'm
Yeah.
like happy about. I'm like, it's a girly
Yeah,
movie
like we
for
have our own
girls.
thing.
Yeah, because like I feel like guys have so many movies and so many shows. Like Wolf of Wall Street, I didn't watch until like 3 months ago.
I have not seen
I
it.
got, I got so angry watching it. I literally was like, "Oh, I hate this movie." Like, so blame. Oh, I turned red and I called my mom after. I was like, "What is this movie? Like, why are they like that?" Like, she's like, "That's the olden days." I was like, "Well, I was just so
Yeah, just
so male oriented, and like every woman in the movie, even Margot Robbie, got like just." It was awful. I was mad. I was just mad. It was not a
maybe I'll never watch it then.
a very man
Drug
movie. I
test.
was like, damn, I'm good. I
It's
don't
a
need to watch
lot.
that
Yeah.
again.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask you, like, because I feel like growing up, I always got questions of like, how do you balance like school and like another job with like content creating? But like, how did you manage at such a young age, like owning and like operating a brand on top of that?
Honestly, it was very all over the place. But the one thing I will say is I dedicated days for certain tasks. Like
Yes.
one day was Frilliance oriented, the next day was YouTube oriented, the next day was more like school oriented. Like I would pack things in on different
Yeah,
days.
like block in schedule. I do the exact same thing and it works so
So
well.
well. Yeah, no, it's like I feel like it's one of the only ways you can do like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Now I feel like my schedule is worse than it was because it's like so much like, oh my God, I need to do this right now. And like things just get swapped around. Like my list is always like I have like a schedule and everything, but it just gets longer and longer by like the minute. Sometimes I'm like, oh wait, I had to do this. And so now I feel like my schedule is a little more like bouncing all over the place, but I kind of like it, which is
Mhm.
honestly I think a little alarming. I think some of my friends and like my boyfriend think I'm crazy. Like they're like, Fiona, do you know how to take a deep breath? I'm like, no, I'm
I
good.
think that's type of like I feel the same way, and like a lot of people like don't understand the feeling of like if I'm not running around all day like a chicken with his head cut off, I'm like I feel like I'm going crazy. Like I need to be like literally running all day.
Running,
Yeah,
literally, I love. You know what's so? This
it's
is
like the adrenaline.
it is the adrenaline. I'm 100% an adrenaline junkie. I sometimes purposely show up to the airport a little late, so I have to like hurry. Like I don't know what it is. I think I have. I'm delusional. I think that's what it is. But
Okay, well, I don't do that because
don't
I
do
think that
it.
would like freak me out a little bit, but I definitely like because I literally filmed the day in my life vlog like last week and I posted it today. And because I had to film a video on it because people always ask me like how do you do so much in a day, and I'm like literally like every hour there's something I'm doing till the moment like I from the moment I wake up to the moment my head hits the pillow at night, like I have to be doing something. And if I take a day where I'm like not doing something, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like I'm not being productive. Like this is like I strive off stress in a way which I feel like is so bad, but like that's just how I work, that's how I
I think
operate.
Yeah, I think it's more of like an olden days thing. I hate saying olden days, but like people like back in the day, I feel like they were like always like always doing something. Where now it's a little more normalized to not do that. So I think
Mm,
like we might be like old souls or something. I don't know because my
maybe have
mom
to
and like
be.
her generation, like the boomer generation, they're very much like that, like 100%. I will say I do like a relaxing day every once in a while, but I have to be doing something though.
Something. Yes,
Like
I have like for me to relax, it's not like I can't, obviously like I love like putting on a good like show that I'm watching for a couple hours, but like I can't spend like a whole day just like slumming it on the couch. Like if it's like a rest day, I need to like go out somewhere, like do an
and that
activity, or
means
like in the summer like do a lake day or something where I'm like still doing something, but maybe it's not necessarily like work or
work.
like
Yeah.
schoolwork or whatever it is, but if I like did nothing that day, that's where I'm like, I
So
wasted
I
a
feel like
day.
I know literally I just feel like I get mad at myself. Like I like
Yeah.
am like, oh my God, I could have done this. I should have been doing this. Like
Yes.
it's like a never ending. And I have dreams about it sometimes. Like
Me too.
oh my God, we have the same delusion. Literally, I love it.
I
I
don't
love
think I've
it.
ever met someone who like thinks the exact way in that sense as me, because like I swear people think I'm crazy. They're like just take a day. Like you can take a day off, and I'm like, I will never.
No, I will never do it. Yeah, no, like the dreams really eat me alive. Like when I have to pay people, I start getting dreams like, oh my God, I missed their payday. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, thank God that was a dream. Like I will like stress myself out about
Me too.
like
In my sleep.
yeah, but sometimes I have like a funny, like great dream and
Oh yeah, no, it's not like it's every night like a nightmare about like missing something, but like I had a dream that I like missed the entire brand trip I had coming up. Like I like didn't wake up for it or something. I have like I literally, I'm not even kidding you, Fiona. Before like exams for school, I'll have dreams where I'm like doing the exam, or like even after the exam happens, I'll have a dream that I'm like doing the test in my dream, and I'm like trying to do the math, but like since I'm not awake, I can't like focus on it, and then I'm like yeah, it's
Oh my God, that sounds oh God, that sounds I've never had a school dream, which I'm grateful for,
yeah.
but that sounds like yeah, stressful. Oh God. Do you ever get really, really tired though? Like exhausted or no? Do you not have that?
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely
Okay.
like some days I'm like some days I feel like running away from everything and just like quitting everything and being like maybe I should just live more of like a soft life. But then I know I wouldn't be happy.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
I have that thought too. I'm like, what if? Like, I go on the what if train
yes,
in my
yeah,
mind. I'm like, okay, let me reel it back in. Like,
right.
no, that's ridiculous. But
So
I
you
get really
mentioned
tired sometimes, for
yeah,
sure.
no, and you that's when you like gotta like, be a little nicer to yourself and, take some extra time to sleep or rest, because then like if I don't, and I've made this mistake way too many times, I like instantly get sick.
Yeah, same. Oh my God, I get like a sore throat.
My body just shuts down. Then I'm like, it like forces you to take a break when you don't
Yep,
want to and when it's the most inconvenient time. So that's
literally.
why you like have to just like schedule in those breaks when it's
Mhm.
convenient, or else it'll hit you and be like, well, now you
Yep.
can't do anything. And then you're like,
Yep. No, exactly. I know. It's always like right before something really important too. And I'm just like, oh, and I am so mad at myself because I could have prevented this, but I didn't. So
mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I fully agree.
So you mentioned earlier that you were homeschooled. Was that like throughout your whole like kind of K to 12?
So I got pulled out of school in third grade because at the time we didn't know that I was dyslexic and legally blind in my left eye.
Oh
So I
wow.
couldn't read anything. Like whiteboards blur, everything a blur unless it was like this close to my face. Like I had severe learning issues. I still have severe learning issues. Like it's something that I'm kind of ashamed of sometimes is I have to use Siri to spell things sometimes and I have to like look up a word to make sure I spelled it right, which is so irritating sometimes, but like I'm like, you know what? I like to share this because I feel like a lot of people do go through like different learning issues and it does not prevent you from being successful like
No.
at all. It does challenge you a little bit. Like you will find a new way to do something. Like I
Yeah.
don't think anyone uses Siri as weird as I do. Like I use it on like different like weird ways, but
Right.
it
And you
works
might
for
have to work like a little bit harder to like get somewhere compared to like someone who doesn't have that. But like, I don't think, yeah, like you said, like, I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. If anything, like, it's good to talk about because then, especially since you have a following and stuff, like, other people will feel inspired by you because you're doing so much.
thing. Yeah, no, and I think in a way, I think it teaches you to adapt
Hmm.
because I think adapting is like a very important thing. Like you're gonna have to learn a lot of different things and be like, wow, like I suck at this. Like there is things that I absolutely suck at when it comes to a business, but what's important is like building a team that really supports you and we all complement each other. And may I say, writing is not my skill unless it's using Siri and my editing skills. But yeah, no, it's always interesting to hear about people's stories. But yeah, I was homeschooled from third grade to my senior year. I actually graduated my junior year, so I graduated pretty
Okay.
early because it was during COVID and I was bored and I was like, oh my
Let's
god,
just get this done. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because I didn't film much because I filmed one video and then I got like absolutely like bashed for going outside. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a little break because
Yeah.
I didn't want to piss anyone off and I didn't want to get sick. I was like, okay, I'm good, I'm good. But yeah,
Yeah. I remember people got so mad at me in one video that I went to like the drugstore to pick up like new makeup, but I'm like, it's open. I'm wearing a mask. Like, yeah, I
like
get like, and this was like right at the start, so like things weren't like completely shut down yet, and I don't think any of us realized how like bad it would get at the start. So like I was just wearing my mask, going to the grocery store, like picking up the new makeup,
yeah.
didn't think much of it, and then I posted and people were like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I know. I got like brutally attacked. I
It's
was
like,
like,
okay,
okay. I deleted the video. I was like, okay, I'm not, I'm good. I don't
we're
want to
not
see it.
dealing with
I'm
that.
good. Yeah, exactly. Have you ever done that? Have you ever deleted a video from hate or like turned off the comments or anything?
Actually, no, I've never done that. And
Wow.
there are some videos like that I've gotten like absolutely slammed on, but I think from a young age, like I just like it helped me develop like tough skin in terms of like hate. Like I do not really care too much about that. Even like I've had some TikToks where like they were like ads and the advertiser, like the brand turned off the comments. Well, I'll just say this anyway. So I did this video with Vaseline because I was using Vaseline to like slug and like use it on my skin for a while, like after my acne started healing and I had like really deep scars because during the winter my skin gets so dry, so I needed like Vaseline
Something
to act as my like
shield.
skin barrier. Yeah. And it really helped me.
Mhm.
So I was already using it for like 3 months and then they actually reached out for a partnership and I'm like, perfect. This is like I love
Yeah.
when things line up like this because it's
Yeah.
like I'm already using it every day and they probably like saw that. So I'm like, yeah, this will be like the easiest ad like I'll ever have to film because it'll basically just be my like night skincare routine for the time being. And I got like absolutely slammed in the comments because people were basically saying because well the narrative was is that like I as like a white person I shouldn't be using Vaseline to slug. which was like very confusing to me. And like I was getting all these comments being like things like the white people have taken something from us again, like why are you using that,
Ah,
like you have white, like all this stuff. And to be completely transparent, like my boyfriend is like mixed, so I like immediately like showed him like the video and I'm like, okay, like am I in the wrong here, because if I am, like obviously like that was not my intention, like I'll take it down, like I never want to like make anyone feel bad with a video. And he's like looking at this video, he's like, no, like
yeah.
he's like, you're just using Vaseline on your skin, like, and he's reading some of the comments and he was like, these are just silly, like people are just getting mad for nothing. I had people like duetting the video, stitching it, blah blah blah. And then but the video was getting a lot of traction from it, which I think the brand was like, we're good with that, so they just like
Yeah.
turned off the comments. So I didn't turn them off myself, and I think like they don't really bother me too much, even when I'm getting like a ton of hate, because it's like in my head, I'm like, you know what, you guys are just fueling this video to like
Thank you.
get more traction, like I really could not care less. Sometimes I like to troll people back and like reply to a comment and then,
Yeah.
do that whole technique. But like, no, like I think the only times like comments really like hurt me in a way is when they come for like um myself as like a person and my intent, and some of those comments
Yes.
like that's where like
Those
it
ones.
bothers me, because
Mhm.
it's like you don't know like who I am, or when
Know me.
people like are like, oh, like you're just a creator, like blah blah blah, you're getting paid to do this, and it's like, well, no, like I do have like other stuff going on. Even if I was just a creator, like that's still like enough. So when people
Yeah.
come for like your what's the word I'm looking for? But like your character. That's what I was.
Yeah.
When people come for your character without knowing you, that's where I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't really like speak on that because you don't know it. But I
Yeah.
also do recognize like people are really like, it's really easy to hide behind a screen and say something. And it's always the people like when you reply to a comment or reply with a video to it, they always delete the comment immediately. In their bio, it's typically like Jesus loves everyone or like spread love. And I'm like,
I'm like,
you just
really run
left me
it
the
back.
most vulgar comment I've ever seen, but okay.
I know, right? I did an experiment and I got a few hate comments on like a Instagram post. I clicked their account and I DM'd them and I was like, "Hey, like I'm so sorry if I upset you. Have a wonderful day," with like a heart. Like, and I meant it. Like it wasn't me like like
Yeah.
it wasn't me being
Yeah.
petty. And they responded back. They're like, "Oh my God, I love you so much. I'm so sorry for leaving that comment. Like, thank you so much. Like, blah, blah, blah." Like, they were so nice. And I was like, what? I was like, what are you doing? I was like, are you trying to get attention? I thought it was so interesting. And I did it again and again and again. And I almost always had the same
Yep.
response. I think that, well, also the people who leave hate are the ones who have a lot of hate in their lives.
Yeah.
So if they, you just can't take it personally. I sometimes
Exactly.
will take it a little personally. Like sometimes I'll be like, really? But now I don't really take the comments as serious because I'm like, okay, like whatever. Like it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. But in person, when people say things to me, sometimes I'm like, I will
Oh,
get a little I won't be that nice. Like I've
yeah.
I've had a few moments where I've like fully exploded on someone.
Oh, wow.
What is wrong with you? Because I hate when someone just like degrades you and after degrade and just like it goes down, down, down. And then at one point I just sometimes blow up and I'm
Well,
like,
yeah, and that's when you kind of have to like protect yourself from that. I actually did a full episode on like listening to like people's negative opinions, and like I talked a lot about like how you need to kind of approach it with like an energy in, energy out. And maybe it's like the science brain of me talking there, but like if someone leaves you a hate comment online, it probably took them 5 seconds to type that out. So like, why should you give them more than like 5 seconds of energy back, right? So you shouldn't let it ruin your whole day, right? You can like read the comment, be like, that kind of sucked, and then put it away. You know what I mean?
I literally have something on this thing, this like board. Wait, I'm gonna read it. I'm like not me like scrolling. If it's not gonna matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes being upset about it. Literally
Exactly.
that, not me just like rolling. Oh my God, my
Yeah.
shoes, my
No, I
shoes
love it. I
flying around.
love it.
Like the bottom shelves are just such a mess. We love that. I'm like,
No,
time to hide it.
I love it. Okay, so Fiona, before we like end this off, I do want to get into a couple more topics with you. So obviously you're like here for like spreading, awareness, and also just like being a brand that represents teens, which I absolutely love, because I think teens, like there's so much that goes on in those like teen years of your life. You know, you change so much as a person, you're dealing with so much opinions, you're like trying to figure out your whole life. And there's a lot of pressure there. So what's your kind of goal? Like obviously you've done so much with Frilliance like thus far, but what's your goal like for like the next 5 years to like, expand that even more?
Well, I really want to build out a team of like teens. So like even some tweens in there, like creating ideas and really like filling us in on like what's going on in their lives and like how the brand can benefit them. I
Right.
want to create like more like groups around that. I want to do more public speaking. I want to sponsor like different high schools and different sports teams, like a lot of like teen oriented things.
I
So
love that.
I also want to work with like different like organizations that help teens that have like struggled with different things like domestic violence, also like the kids who are in those shelters. Like I want to overall, like the whole brand, I really wanted to help teens, like not
Mhm.
just with their skin and like giving them a product that's made for them, but also just like emotionally supporting them. So yeah, the whole goal is to make more money so I can give more money out to people who deserve it. So yeah, that is the plan. Hopefully it all works out, but God, there's so many bumps that happen that I always makes me think, I'm like, oh my God, is this like gonna work? But I believe in it and I'm gonna make it work no matter what happens. So
I
I'm
I love that. And I can't wait to see you do all those things. I'm rooting for you and Brilliance all the way. I do have to ask though, because you were so young starting this and you talk so much about having a great team, like do you feel like it was ever hard to kind of be a founder and like make all these decisions? And do you feel like there were some instances where people didn't take you seriously because you were so young?
Oh yes, I still get it to this day, 100%. Less, a little less now because we are in retailers
Yeah. And
who
you've
have
like established yourself. It's like I've done this thus far.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, like they don't do it as much, but oh my God, yes, all the time. I remember I've been in meetings where I literally have gotten talked over, completely talked over, like cut off. And I was in the middle of saying something like important or like sharing my thoughts on something, completely cut off. Or like when my mom is on the call, because my mom and I do work together. My mom is
Hmm.
like a lot older than me. I mean, duh, my mom. But oh my God, like they'll completely talk to her rather than me, or they'll email her really nice and not email me as nice. Or
Right.
those little things where they will put the older person above you, 100%. But I do now. I'm working with a lot more teens, so and like young, like Gen Z, so like
Yeah.
up to, like 23. So it's a lot easier to communicate with them because like we text instead of email all the time. We like use slang words like I'll let you know, but like like the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like it's a lot more like our brains just get it more, and it's also easier to talk about social media and everything, and also talking to creators. I have the background of being a creator, so like I feel like that's helped a lot. And there's like because usually brands can be awful to work with. Like I've had some awful experiences with brands, so
You've
I
seen
feel
both
like
sides of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No,
So
that's awesome.
I feel like it helps, but no, I've been judged, talked over, and a lot of teenage men love to just absolutely bash me.
Well,
Like
of
in
course, because you're much more successful.
I mean, I guess, but like it doesn't like it shouldn't matter, but
I
they think
know.
it matters so much and they love to pick me apart. And I'm just like, this is for you. Like
Yeah.
that's it's like I don't know what else to do. I'm like, okay. I'm
Well,
like, I
yeah,
just walk away.
you
But
just gotta keep just showing them like how much you're doing and not let it affect you, which I think you're definitely doing. Um, just out of curiosity, like what's your position? Like, I are you and your mom like co-founders of the brand, or are you like the founder?
I am the founder, but I 100% think she deserves like a higher like credit. Like she doesn't ever take credit for anything, which is like I
As
guess
moms do.
as moms do. It's
And
such
this
a
is why you have to watch the Barbie movie. You
oh my
have to
God.
watch the Barbie movie.
Oh
Like
no, I think I'm probably gonna cry.
everyone was crying, so like you're good. Like
Oh
you,
my God. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
If it ties with moms, I immediately start bawling.
yeah,
It's such like an immediate
yeah.
crying.
Go with your mom and watch it. Trust me, it's so
Oh my
good.
God. Okay. Okay. Good tip. I'm gonna do that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but I mean, my mom like runs a lot of the back end. So what I do is I develop the products. I
Mhm.
send like the products out to creators to get like feedback. I work with influencers. I also manage a lot of like the design and like photos. So I do like the photo shoots. I always like work around videos. I do editing. I also work with all like our like part-time employees and interns.
And you're like
I'm
the face of the brand.
I'm like the face of the brand. And
Yeah.
then I also do all the buyer meetings. So like whatever, like I'm like presenting a product, I'm always the one like talking about it and going to events. But my mom does a lot of the back end stuff. So when it comes to like fulfilling orders and like making sure everything's on track for like shipping to like different DCs and like different distributors, she does that. And then like all like the website, making sure that's all working. We both do like the email and the text list, but like she like sends it out. She's like a very back end, but
Yes.
you cannot have a business without someone running that, and it's
No,
a crucial part for sure.
absolutely. I am working right now on hopefully launching like my own brand really soon.
It's exciting.
And thank you. And like me and my business partner, like we're really just trying to find like what's that dynamic of like where both of our skills like, make sense. Like I've definitely taken more of a lead in like product development because like I have a chemical engineering background. I've worked in product development, like in the formulation, like I take a lot of that, but also like I know the social media end of things. So like that's more of where I'm trying to take more of a lead on, but we're really trying to find like that balance of like, okay, like what are our roles going forward? Because up till now, we've definitely been just like every step of the way, we've kind of been doing together because it's like, okay, we're both trying to like figure this out. And he's been so helpful even in like formulation and all that, even though he had no experience in that prior to like starting out this brand. But moving forward, we're like, okay, like once we launch, like we really have to kind of still work together, but kind of do our own thing to really make this
Yeah,
brand work. So just
you gotta
finding that new
compliment each other.
dynamic.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a
exactly.
process too. Like you'll have moments where you'll be like, what the like
Like,
it's a process, but eventually it starts to flow way easier. And yeah, like the most important thing is that you both like trust each other and
yes,
listen to each other. That is like the most
yes,
important thing. Because my
yeah,
mom and I will sometimes have that issue where we'll be like, no, no, like, and we're
yeah.
like, what are we doing?
I
Like,
think that's a very just like mother daughter dynamic or family dynamic in general. Cause I know I work with my brother. I've been working with him for 2 years. And sometimes it's like,
yeah,
like we fight in a way that like I wouldn't fight like that with like an employee I like didn't have a
personal,
yeah, like you know what I
yes.
mean?
Oh,
So
it's so
like
different because you can yell at you like someone, like
yes.
you yell at your family member, and you
And
like
then the
forgive
next day
each
you're
other,
like over
love
it.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, but you
And you're
can't do
done.
that in the normal, like,
No,
oh
no,
my
no.
god,
Yeah.
I would be the worst for, oh
Yeah,
god,
yeah.
no,
It's
no, no.
just different, but no, that's super cool. Well, no, I love that. And I guess before we end off, one last topic I want to talk to you about is obviously, this podcast is all about beauty standards and just kind of breaking down those walls. And I think with your brand, the brand is so real. I love like the no makeup aspect you're taking to it because, as teens, I think we do feel like a lot of pressure to like look perfect and we're comparing ourselves a lot. So kind of, I think with your products, it's really learning to like enhance your natural beauty rather than like covering up your flaws, which I adore. I love that so much. But what are your kind of visions for the brand and what do you hope to see also like in the beauty industry more of in like the skin positivity space?
I would say more transparency because when you think of a lot of these brands like a L'Oreal, a Maybelline, a NYX, a Neutrogena, who do you think of being behind those brands? Like, I don't think of a face. Like, there's no face that comes to mind
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to those. I really wish they showed more of like the behind the scenes work that went
Yeah.
on. And I don't even know if I fully want to know, but I think that customers need to know those things because so many brands are evil. Like they are genuinely not, they're here to make a dime. They're here to make a buck off of you. Like that's what they care about. And I think that slowly, I think it's showing that like brand founders are coming out more and like talking more about their brand and being more transparent about what goes on behind the scenes. But I think more like big brands need to do that. And they need to be more honest because
Yes.
Neutrogena is like it's supposedly acne fighting and good for like teen skin and like sensitive skin when it's so not. Like there's so many ingredients in there that just are not good. Like the fragrance they use, the oils they use, like it's just like it's upsetting, I think, because I'm like, don't put that on your skin. Like it could burn, like it can irritate it. Like, and brands just don't, like these huge brands just don't care. So I want to see more transparency.
Right. And I think there is like a whole kind of stigma around, influencers starting brands, because everyone's
Yes.
like, oh, like another influencer
Another
starting a brand,
one.
blah, blah. But I think like
Mhm.
there is something more personable there, who's behind it. And they typically have like a bigger message rather than just like making sales. Obviously, you need sales for any brand to be successful. So obviously that has to be one of your like goals, because you can't do like all of those goals that you mentioned for your brands, you can't do it without the capital. But there is like a bigger, goal behind just like making money. So did you receive like any backlash? I know like obviously you started this brand a bit ago, so I think now there is more backlash with like, because it feels like everyone's starting a brand. But did you receive any of that?
No, not in the beginning. Not
Okay.
really, not at all, which I'm very grateful for. I think at the time there wasn't that many influencer brands,
Yeah.
so I didn't really get the backlash. And also a lot of people like they don't 100% know that I own the brand. Like some people
Oh,
are
got
still
it.
unaware of that because like the main message behind it is like teen focus. Like we have a teen
Yes.
team, we're Gen Z, Gen Alpha
Yeah.
focus.
So you're more
Because
like a
there's a
rep or like
story.
the face. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like there's this story that
Yeah.
like really shows, and like if you go to like our like page, like you can really like kind of see that and like see it with me. But I don't even know where I was going with that. But where was I? What were we talking about? I just my brain just like completely just like shut off.
We were
Oh,
talking.
influencer getting
Yeah.
hate
Yeah.
on the. No, I didn't. I really didn't get any hate, which was. I mean, maybe I got a few that was like, oh, okay, like, like, did
Right.
you
Right.
create the brand? Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
labeled. I'm like,
Oh, you
no,
just put your name on it. Blah, blah. Yeah. Of
yeah.
course. Of
I got a
course.
few of those, but
Yeah.
not a significant amount. But
Well, that's
now
good.
I do think that there's some like the I don't think the influencer brands really bother me because I see the story behind them and
Hmm.
I see like their love for the brand. But like actors and like actresses or singers that are coming out with their brands, I'm just like, like some, not
Yeah.
all, but
Some are
some.
doing it really good. Yeah. It just
Yeah,
depends on how it looks for sure. We covered a lot. I feel like
we
we
definitely
we
did.
we like went through the whole like, influencers, everything. So I think we can kind of close it off there probably. I'll definitely look forward to chatting with you again, because I love talking to you. But thank you
Yeah,
so much for coming on the pod.
yeah, of course. Thank you. This was like great. I feel like I've just been like chit chatting with like a bestie over here. Like
Literally, I loved
great.
it. I
Yeah.
loved it. Well, to anyone listening, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Loud Talk with Lavi. Thank you, Fiona, again for being on. And make sure to go check her out. I'll have all her socials as well as Brilliance down below in the description if you're watching on YouTube. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. If you're not watching on YouTube and you're just listening in on Apple, Spotify, or any of your streaming platforms, make sure to rate this episode as well as the podcast 5 stars. Nothing lower, please. Just kidding. But and then go check out the YouTube version, because we do film the video version as well, so you can see myself and the beautiful Fiona as well. So go check it out on YouTube. But that is it for this episode, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for getting loud. Remember to stay loud always. It is so important to make your voice super loud in this world. And tell yourself something you love about your skin today, and you will hear from me in the next episode of Loud Talk with Lavi. Bye.
Bye.